Welcome back to another episode of Tag'em's Tip of the Week. On this week's episode, I'm going to be talking about the pros and cons to the 3 most common ways people turkey hunt in the spring. First one we're going to touch on is blind hunting. A lot of people say blind hunting may be cheating or, it's not as fun. And in my mind, I think blind hunting is probably the most effective way to kill a turkey if you're just going on statistics and odds of killing a bird. I can recall a turkey hunt that Kate and I were on, and it seemed like for a few days we just chased turkeys back and forth and just didn't have any luck. And we ended up killing a bird that afternoon. We have found a tent in the woods and we're just gonna sit by it. Boom! Yes! Yes! And so I think if you have the time to dedicate to sitting in a blind, it might be all day for 2 days, but the odds of you killing a bird in those 2 days of just sitting in a blind and being an ultimate camper, as they say, are very high. Those turkeys tend to go past the same spot multiple times through a day, and if you're constantly on the ground, doing the run and gun style, like I like to do, you're missing those birds crossing their patterns quite a bit throughout a day if you're always moving around. So that being said, I would say the pros to sitting in a blind is your success rate is going to be very high, and the cons of sitting in a blind is you might get super bored. I mean, you might go for a few hours and not hear or see a bird, but like I said, your success rate is probably going to be pretty high sitting in a blind. Number 2 is going to be kill them off the roost. Over the years, I kind of have a love-hate relationship with this. There's nothing better than getting out there on a cold, crisp April morning, setting up within 100 yards of a gobbler and seeing them fly down to your decoy set. But I would say the success rate of killing a bird right off the roost is lower than you think, or at least in my experience has been lower than what I think it should have been. If you're gonna be a shoot 'em off the roost type hunter, it's really good to scout the night before, kind of watch where these birds are going, watch them go into the roost, and then what I like to do is get in there right away, hopefully hear a gobble, and try to set up within 100 yards of these birds and just catch one that wants to fly right down to your decoy set. So the pros of hunting right off the roost would be getting out there, hearing that gobble, setting up super close, and just the anticipation being so high when you're right in on a gobbler like that. The cons, a lot of the times those gobblers are gonna stay in the tree until their hens fly down, and if their hens fly the exact opposite way, the odds of that bird flying into your decoy set are pretty low. So that's kind of how I view the roost hunting style. It can be very effective, but it can also be very frustrating. Number 3 is going to be the run and gun and reaping style turkey hunting. This is probably one of the most controversial turkey hunting styles out there. If you do it, you're gonna get people that say, it's not an ethical way to turkey hunt. It's not being fair to the turkeys. In my mind, turkeys are pretty hard to kill in general. So, if there's a style or a tactic that's gonna help elevate my game of success this spring, I'm willing to try it. And I've had really good success reaping turkeys over the past few years, and there's nothing like the adrenaline rush of a big tom running into 5 or 10 yards, gobbling, strutting, coming to attack your decoy. There's just something about that style that is super fun. I would say your success rate, it might be 1 in every 10. You might get that one aggressive bird that wants to charge a decoy, but you might flip a decoy to a tom and he'll pick his head up, look, and run the other way. So ultimately, the reaping style, you have to find the right bird. And so the pros of the reaping style would be super fun, super action-packed, adrenaline rush. If you get a bird to charge in at 10 yards, you know, they're right there. You're just right in the action all the time, and you can hit a lot of different spots. You know, if you're not the guy that, you know, wants to sit in a blind all day, you can bounce around the entire day and reap turkeys. So that would be the pros of reaping. The cons of reaping, like I said, it doesn't work, you know, a lot of the time. You get busted quite a bit. You're running through the woods and all of a sudden, oh no, that tom is a lot closer than you thought he was and you got busted. Or you got the perfect setup and you crawl out into a field and you flip a decoy up and they run the other way. So I would say your success rate on reaping is probably about the same as sitting in the morning, maybe a touch lower. You know, people think it's automatic. You flip a decoy up, they run in, you kill them. But it is definitely not the case. So that would be the con to reaping turkeys. And, you know, these are the three main strategies I would say that people do. And I just kind of wanted to briefly touch on the topics of those three and, you know, why they can all be effective. I've killed turkeys in all three situations. I've killed a turkey in a blind, I've killed turkeys right off the roost, and I've killed turkeys reaping. So you can't say there's one that's always going to be better than the other. A lot of it has to depend on your situation, your timing. If you only have a day to hunt, you might hunt different than a guy that has 3 or 4 days and can dedicate a few new tactics to hunting. So I hope these, you know, few tips and few ideas help you decide which style of hunting you want to pick for this spring. And until next time, scout them, hunt them, tag them.